One lucky pull can flip a weak army into strong one. Today I will show you how just one artifact can transform your March power. This is why every pull matters. Hey friends, glad to have you back. Let's talk about the real impact of one artifact over your battles. So I'm going to jump directly. Artifacts add unique power. You have to know that to your heroes. Just one piece can unlock a special effect. And right now, currently in this situation, I'm talking over one specific artifact that actually game changed my gameplay, and this is Dragon Fate, but this also applied to many other artifacts. I think I make so much videos, I think like a couple videos over the Dragon's Fate. I think people understand the real power of this artifact, but for the people who didn't actually watch this video, I'm going to say it with couple words. This artifact, especially with you Ming, is doing crazy amount of damage. If you have it level 5, it's going to be 100% chance every 2 seconds to do 120 damage. One artifact normally is having 90 seconds, the mage one, before they trigger, or 1 minute and a half. So for 90 seconds, if non-stop you're in the fighting, this artifact can do massive damage. It's like 112 damage per hit, 45 hits. You can imagine the amount of damage this artifact is doing. So this artifact is a game changer in Call of Dragons. But in the same time, there is other artifacts that are like this. For example, Flaming Inferno, I can say for the Liliya. I mean, this is also a passive thing. When you Legion get Magic Kin, you're going to inflict, when it's inflicting Scorch on the enemy, you're going to get Magic Kin for 5 seconds every 10 seconds. So every 10 seconds, you're most likely going to get this 15%. It can go to 30%. Now imagine if you're with Celestials. Let's start from there. And Celestials is having solid damage, by the way. Tier 5 is having 332. Way more from, for example, what the Vestals are having, like 292. This is extra 40, but this is a base attack, so all the buffs that you implemented as a boost for your magic units is going to be way more. As you can see here, it's like 475. So this is other thing that is a game changer, but it's only for the Liliya. This is the bad thing, is just only for the Liliya. On the other side, Dragon Fate don't have something like it's only for this hero. Obviously it's going to work perfectly well with Yun Ming, but it can work perfectly well with any other hero, because you just need to execute rage skill and you're going to get this extra damage. So if every 10 seconds you're doing one rage skill, you're going to basically receive this extra 120 damage. So for 90 seconds you're going to execute it like for 10 seconds, for 90 seconds before the artifact actually gets triggered up. You're going to get like 1000 extra damage in additional damage, 1000 over the target on top of this 4.5k that you're going to receive. So yeah, this is just one example that this artifact is making your heroes and is adding unique power to your heroes, and especially when it's having some special effects. And we're not having that many artifacts. For example, Royal Punishment is not having anything additional. Shadow Blades is also nothing here. Here also, Grand Legion March Speed, this is after you execute the artifact, and etc. Not everything. Now here we're having additional effect. Every time you Legion get a buffed effect through a hero skill, they do 11% more artifact damage, up to maximum to 23. Now obviously this is going to be for Bertrand Tohar, and the moment the Tohar finish his rage skill, it can apply, by the way, to multiple heroes, also to Yun Ming, because he also having some buffs. But every hero with the buff can be a game changer for the March right there. Players who use their new artifact in the right marches see big changes right away. And yeah, I'm going to give you some reports, by the way, from this, for example, from this artifact. Maybe I can go over this fight here, maybe this one. Okay, it's going to be against Awakening Lee Quan and Kuma. Obviously I get a lot of counter attack. That's why I have a video prepared, if it's not on already on, about the Waldir. So if you enjoyed this type of things, make sure you subscribe to this channel if you already didn't, and if you get some value, you can hit one like over the video. So the counter attack here is crazy. I'm not gonna lie, but you can see this artifact at level 3 did 3.5k, Yunming 8.9, and Muxiang 5.4. So you're going to see that the artifact is doing crazy amount of damage. Now from the battle log, you can actually see, now this is Plemonion, this is the skill of Yan Ming. We're having, this is the new pet that I'm currently trying to test and make more. There is going to be online video about this right now when this video come out, so you can go and check it out and make some tests there between the Seraphic Fire Drag, between the Flaming Manticore, and etc. But yeah, Yunming so far, this is level 1. Going further, this is Woodbite. Yeah. Okay, so here we're not having any kind of artifact triggering. So yeah, this is little sad, but on the next one we'd have like 80% chance this thing to get triggered. And here we go, we actually did damage factor 100. Very nice for this Legion damage, which I don't know how much is going to reflect, but yeah, this is actually 100 damage. Maybe if I can separate it and see it on the other side. Again, this thing gets triggered. We're having artifact triggered, which is actually reflect this 100 damage is reflecting to 81 units that Lee Quan is going to lose. So it's not like 100 the damage equals to units, but it's very solid. And I'm going to show you one more report. Maybe this is going to be this one. Counter strike. Oh my god, we get like 130 lose, but it's important. Okay, here it's important, the pets, just to mention that. And again, we have the triggering of this thing, we get some extra defense, and we get this artifact triggered again. So you see, with every step we're getting, right now it's like 74 units lose, but just the new artifact in the right marches, the changes is very far. So maybe I'm going to make in the future a video where I'm going to talk about which artifact for which legion is going to perfectly fit well. As I mentioned, for example, with the Mirage Orb, you can see that the Mirage Orb is getting more artifact damage from the buffs the heroes are receiving. So I can say the buffs that Yun Ming are receiving is way more from what Bertrand and Tohar are receiving. Even though Tohar is giving 2 buffs, when he's awakened 25% more damage, and when he finishes his passive skill, the damage is also getting shelter, if I remember right, and stuff like this. And yeah, many ignores new artifacts or place them on the wrong heroes. You have to keep this thing in mind, where this artifact is going to fit with the right legion. And this is actually a wasted potential. Now if I put on Yun Ming, knowing that the Mirage Orb is getting something like extra damage, is getting like extra damage every time the legion get buff, and boy oh boy, Yun Ming is having crazy skill. When the field Plemonion hit one extra target and hero get 50% chance to get 10% defense, can stack up to 3. So you can see how fast this bad boy is gathering these buffs. If you put him with some hero that is also putting some buffs, like for example Thea is also a great buff giver, let's say it like this, and you put Mirage Orb on the place on this one, and you put this one on Bertrand and Tohar, I think with Bertrand and Tohar is still going to work very well because Tohar is executing his spell like one check after 3 normal attacks, Tohar blah blah blah, dealing damage every second for 3 seconds. So the first second is going to trigger the artifact, and the last second is going to trigger the artifact again. and you're having Bertrand that is going to fire up after the Tohar. Tohar, by the way, was the speediest mage in Cow Dragons, but with Ming, he's on the second place right now. Because when you see after 3 normal attacks, this is after 3 seconds. For example, he starts doing the damage. Absolutely great hero in the poking game, but Ming is after the 2 seconds, he's going to, or immediately when he enters in the battle, he triggers his raid skill. Obviously, the difference in the damage between this bad boy and the other one, here we're having 500, here we're having 300, but this Ming is doing just way more. He's hitting 5 times, Tohar is hitting only 3 times in the range of let's say 10 seconds. So yeah, don't ignore the new artifact, especially if you're mage main, especially if this artifact is a suit one. And the approach you can actually do is just test it. Test is showing where to equip it. Just test it. It can be on the Darklings outside. Do your power up your strongest march or boost a weak one. You have to know that. So the way I actually suggest people do some tests over the heroes when they receive heroes, artifacts, pets, whatever, is you pick for example these Darkling Patrols. Level 48 Warwalk. Go outside, fight with this one with the one artifact, if you're testing artifacts for example, and see what is going to be the outcome of this fight. After this, against level 48 again, test the other artifacts. So far you can find different Warwalks. If you just open the map, this is level 48. You're needing 48 Warwalk again. You can just find it on the map. Again, level 48. Right now, I'm not so sure I'm going to find, but you get the idea. Just test it against. Yeah, here we also, no, this is 45. Yeah, you get the idea. You can just put it here in the search when you go in this one and put level 48. You're going to search, you're going to open this one and you're going to make again search. This one is not the one that we're looking for, and yeah, like this you can just go and test the artifacts, test the pets. This is my approach, because I'm going to be honest, in the battlefield things can be completely different, you know, things can be completely different. On top of that, maybe if you have some partner that you can actually test the artifact, this is also a good solution. But on the battlefield, things here are extremely hard to be tested because you're going to enter in the different situations. Now, I'm not so sure I can actually be able to see the artifacts over the people. Yeah, right now, no. This is, I mean, the big fight we're having was yesterday, so I don't have some reports to show you right now. But yeah, this is the way you can test pets and artifacts. If you place it wrong, don't forget about this thing. If you place it wrong, you might lose battles that you should actually win. And what I mean by that is your legion is going to be one idea more weaker, and it's not going to have the full potential if you place your artifact on the wrong place. You just keep this thing in mind. The secret is to equip the artifact on the march that fits the skill best. Now, obviously for the artifacts, as I already mentioned, some of them you don't need something crazy. For example, for Phoenix Eye, you just put it on whatever legion you wanna have it, and it's going to work perfectly well. Here we're not having some hidden treasure, but for this one we're having in the additional effect. I want to point out very strong this additional effect. Here we're having additional effect, here we're having additional effect, here we're having additional effect. Now this is the important places where you want to look the moment you're building your legions. And if the artifact is having this thing, something that I start seeing coming in Cow Dragons, those additional effects, because the season 1 artifacts don't have that many additional effects. Maybe this is the only artifacts from the season 1 that is having some kind of additional effect. For example, Thunder Elegy, whatever they inflict numbless upon the enemy legion, the wielder legion get resistance. Damage taken -5% can go up to 10. Now this additional effect actually fit very well with all the legions, because it's when you inflict this numbless, very numbless. I actually don't remember. I have to double check the numbless, but yeah, just check it out. The additional effect, the rest of the artifacts is just going to fit perfectly well with any legion you're having. And honestly, lately the Cow Dragon's artifacts, just that one Wookiee pull suddenly make your army win fights that you basically used to lose, and basically fill your pockets with merits. Very important. And don't forget, now after you may make all the changes that I present you in this video, from form of testings, from form of understanding the artifacts. Now you will value every artifact drop, even a single one. Even a single one can be a game changer. Even this one is level 1, doing perfectly well with Liliya, even at level 1. Now obviously in the future I'm planning to actually maybe invest in Terrifying Inferno, because it's one of the few assault artifacts that we're having in Cow Dragons, but every single artifact actually counts. That's why go for the artifacts that you know is proven and is good. I mean, we're having a lot of information in YouTube, so you know you can gather some information there. Now your account grow faster with each smart placement, in form of pets, in form of artifacts, and etc. Obviously in forms also of buffs, what kind of mana stone you're going to get. Just every smart choice you make in the Cow Dragons for your legion, you're just going to see the result slowly stack up, and your legion is going to be very strong. So this is what I wanted to talk about in this video, especially for the artifacts, and how one artifact pool can change your march forever and make a weak march extremely strong. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit one like, subscribe to this channel. I wish you a great day and see you in the next video.